Welcome to the Football Retro Podcast.
The word welcome, I guess, is stretching it a little when you're an Australian in a place like this today.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Football Retro Podcast. I am your host Johnny and I'm joined here today. It's a big one today. It's a full table. It's the first time we've had all co-hosts with me. Fadi, Adasi and Akram. How you doing, guys?
Well, Johnny, good to be back again after episode 9. Hopeful for a bit more controversy as well.
You love your controversy.
I love the controversy. It's a good topic today as well, so I'm excited.
Adasi?
Yeah, great to be back again, and looking forward to get back into some football discussion with you guys.
Did you get much sleep over the last week or two?
Barely, but I'm getting there, trying to find my rhythm, and getting there. But yeah, good to be back.
New baby, so
Thanks, guys.
good. Akram?
Hey, how you doing, boys? Good to be here. Really looking forward to this topic. What is the topic? I forgot for a moment. What are we doing?
Episode number 10, we are talking about the number 10.
Number 10, that's awesome. And just a reminder, guys, if you'd like to put a like in and a comment, subscribe. Would love to get extra subscribers. So, anything you can do, we would really appreciate it.
Please comment on
Johnny's
people's,
shitty takes.
people's opinions, especially Johnny's.
Now, I'm going to apologise in advance if the audio is not exactly clear. There's, like I said, 4 people, 1 microphone. So we will upgrade eventually. But
apparently you're moving us to a studio and
we've studio overlooking the harbour
with cameras, so it's going to be a live podcast
100%,
sort of thing.
Everyone gets a suit as well.
That studio's been pending for what'd you say, Fatty, 2 years now?
About 2 years. Ever since he thought of the idea of Football Retro, I've been
Retro's
hearing
on a
about
budget.
this.
Living the dream.
So episode number 10, the number 10. So before we get into it, I wanted to speak a little bit about what a number 10 is, what we think a number 10 is. Is it just a jersey? To me, it's a little bit more. A number 10, especially coming from South America, the number 10 is the playmaker, the brains, the guy with the talent, the guy that you give the ball to during the hard times. It's not just a jersey on the back, but it's also a personality. So it's that person you go to for when you're, like I said, you're in trouble. There's a saying give the ball to the 10 in Spanish. So the last few minutes, when you're 1 goal down, when you need a goal, give it to the 10 to put that assist, to score a screamer, to motivate the team. So the number 10 is not just an attacking mid, a second striker, or whatever position you want to put on the field, but it's more of a personality, more of your poster boy, your marketing tool. What do you guys think?
Look, I definitely agree with that. The number 10, as you said, is big, especially with the South American countries. There's always a lot of emphasis. And as you said, why it always looked to a number 10, for creativity or whatever, it's technically a playmaker role. Anyone growing up that loved football, number 10 was the player that you always watched. No matter what position you played, if you were a defender, if you're a winger, if you're a striker, that number 10 is revered. Like, you look at it as, wow, number 10, great playmaker, and look at a touch, and it's always about the vision and whatnot. Yeah, they scored some goals, but it was about more than that. So it is a special position.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, a lot of us grew up watching football. A lot of us fell in love with the game because certain players that play the game that were in that number 10 position, and we'd watch them play the game, the technique they showed, the skills, the goals they scored, the passes, the assists they made, and then we'd want to go out there to the park and replicate that. And it's such a special position that
no one did.
Yeah, well, we tried.
A real talisman player, though, eh? Like a real poster boy, like Johnny said. Like, the hero, the guy that gets none of the blame when they lose and all the credit when they win. Correct?
I think there's an expectation as well, because if you look at a lot of clubs or countries, the player that wore that 10, everybody wanted that number. When you were playing park football, everybody wanted to be number 10. That's just how it was. So the number itself was revered. It was a big thing.
The number itself was revered, I think, because of the players that ended up wearing it. So it creates that mystique, and then it just keeps going and going and going. With the 10 jersey, and then the position itself, just like it's become this real fantastic kind of thing. Like the position's kind of dying out, like in modern football. I think it's changing and evolving, right? Yep. But I think there's no kid even now in modern day that doesn't think about that position, doesn't think about your Maradonas and such that played that position with that jersey.
It's disappointing. Sorry, I'll say it's disappointing that football has evolved currently to a stage where the number 10 is essentially phased out, because there's a lot more expected from every other player in that midfield / attacking area. There's not so much emphasis on one player
Yeah.
to be the playmaker. Everyone's expected to contribute evenly, which I understand makes sense, but it just takes out that little spark, that special
Yeah.
when you look to the number 10 sort of thing. I don't know.
I agree.
It's,
'cause
it's
I feel
disappointing.
I feel like it's like the the specialist roles in midfield
Yep.
have really become reduced, and now it's like every player is supposed to do a bit of everything.
Yes.
Everyone is looking for the next Luka Modric, not for the next Zidane.
Yeah, because Modric, he does both attacking and defending,
Yeah,
tracks
exactly.
back a lot, and they'd expect a lot of that, the tracking back side of things.
Well, that's the thing now with the coaches today. It's all about everyone defends, everyone runs, everyone presses, everyone. Back with the classic 10 that we're talking about.
Yeah.
It didn't really do that much running or pressing.
They did
And
jack
you weren't
shit.
expected to defend either.
I wouldn't say jack shit.
And the thing is, they weren't judged on defending. They were judged on what they did as a number 10.
Yeah, with the ball at
I,
their feet.
I
Exactly.
Would, I would dare say that the number 10, the classic 10, and I'm talking in the 80s, the 90s, and up to the early 2000s maybe, was probably the most typical footballing position. For people that didn't know what football was or weren't involved in the sport, they would know a number 10 player as opposed to any other player.
So when you say typical, you mean like the most famous, the stereotypical position when you think of football. You would
I mean,
think
if,
about
if
the
I
number
went
10.
and asked someone who has no idea about football or doesn't watch,
Yeah.
I'd be like, who do you know with football? They'll guarantee they'll pick you at number 10.
Yeah, fair
More
enough.
than, more than a
Yeah.
9?
I think so.
I'd run a close second, I'd say.
Maybe nine now more so than back in the day.
Yeah.
Now, the number 10 on the jersey.
Yeah.
Was Pele the first one to make it famous, do you think? Or do you
No.
know anyone else before that? I don't
How
know.
old do you think we are?
Yeah.
Well, Dusty's got a Britannica encyclopedia in his head, so...
Or running on low sleep these days, so we'll see how that encyclopedia is working.
Do you guys, apart from Pele, is there anyone else?
I mean,
in the
Puskás made the
60s?
number 10 really well.
He was number 10?
Yeah, he was number 10.
I'd say Platini as well.
Was
That was
this,
80s.
No, we're
80s,
talking about
80s.
like,
Yeah, but
that encyclopedia
What about
really
the-
isn't
yeah.
working very well, is it?
yeah,
Lack
well,
of
I'm
sleep,
saying,
though.
yeah.
what about Di Stefano?
This episode was 9.
Yeah.
Was he?
I mean, we're not talking about positions.
We're talking about
jerseys.
jerseys, yeah.
Puskás wore the number 10, and I mean, he wasn't really a classic number 10 either. It was more like a second striker. But it's like what we talked about when we talked about number 9s, man. When we talk about the elite players, who knows exactly where the position begins and ends, eh? Di Stefano did a bit of everything. Puskás did a bit of everything. Plus, they scored heaps of fucking goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kempes is another one.
Oh
In
yeah.
Argentina.
78 World
7 year
Cup,
World
yeah.
Cup, so he wore the number 10. Do you guys know why he wore the number 10 though? Is a fun fact for you?
Enlighten us, Johnny.
It better be
Something
fun.
to do with the military junta?
No. Why'd you go there for?
I don't know. That's what I remember that World Cup for. Not remember, but that's what they talk about the World Cup for.
The team was actually made alphabetical order.
Wow.
So Kempes
very
was
interesting, eh?
number 10
I
by
was going to
accident.
say something about you guys, but I'll
It
refrain.
fitted perfectly.
So
then
the
for him.
goalkeeper was number 5, Filial.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Ardiles was number 2.
I'd love to see that again. How crazy is that?
I don't know. So this is a fun fact. So they make Kempes, Maradona, Messi, they compete number 10s. In
Yeah.
reality, he was number
Yeah.
10 by accident.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm thinking Kempes in the 70s, obviously. And then you got the 80s. I think that's where the number really became famous.
Yeah.
Maradona, Platini, anyone else you can think of?
Cruyff maybe
He
before.
was 14.
No, it was
14.
14.
sorry.
Cruyff was
That is
he-
late, but us.
No, but he
Fucking hell,
played
man.
like a 10.
No, but we're talking about the jersey
Yeah,
number,
jersey
bro.
numbers, yeah. Well, every time, yeah.
Do you need like a drink?
I'm
You know,
good. I'm
you're-
good. I'm good. I'm good.
And
No,
then-
I mean, like, you're right. Like, you had Platini,
Was
Maradona.
Zico number 10?
I think so.
Zico was a 10.
He was a 10, but like, and I think he wore the jersey 10.
Well, I thought it was a 10 up.
Hula-
You're talking about jerseys again, so.
Yeah,
it
Hula
wasn't
played.
a-
Hula wore the number 10 too. Not that he exactly played that position, and like it was at the 80s where they made that jersey really famous, eh? And I mean, I think no one contributed more to that than Maradona.
Yeah.
Mateos comes. Lothar Mateos comes
Yeah.
to mind, but he was like a different type of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's more like some kind of box-to-box midfielder. He did everything.
Yeah.
And then you go into the 90s and the nows, where, for example, Juventus, they made a big deal about the number 10
Yeah.
because Del Piero wore it for so many years.
But before Del Piero as well, don't forget in Italy you had Baggio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, the number 10 and Italy is a very intertwined thing. And then, of course, for Juve, Platini is number 10 as well.
Platini, Baggio, you
I
have
hate that fucker.
Del Piero.
But you hate him because of what he's done now as a former player?
Yes.
Oh, not what he did as a player, right?
No, not what he did. I hate him now as his position and what he's
Some of
done
the
with
contributions
UEFA.
he's made to football or, you know.
But number 10 now for Juventus is Dybala, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
I
not
love
10 for me.
Dybala as a player, but I just wish
He hasn't reached his
grew
full
to his
potential, I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not lived up to it. But
He's still young, though. He's still young.
He's like
How
what,
old is he?
25, 26 now?
Do you think
Yeah,
that his
fuck.
development for Argentina has been held back because of Messi, or do you think for club level because of Cristiano now? Like, what do you?
That's
What
an
is it?
excuse.
Don't say that, because everything that you're going to blame on Messi, you're going to fire him off.
Yeah,
No, just say Higuain. That's who. Like,
No, like I'm inclined to agree with Johnny though.
How
That
fat
is
is
an
that
excuse.
guy now? What's wrong with him?
He's in America now.
What's he doing?
Eating
Inter-
hot dogs in Inter. in
Inter
Miami.
Miami.
Inter Miami.
David Beckham's signing. Yeah.
I haven't seen him fit at all the past fucking since
But
the World Cup.
He keeps scoring goals though. He keeps
Yeah.
He'll
making-
score for Argentina.
He makes more money than all of us put together, so you can't say anything.
I also never criticize anyone because everyone makes more money than us.
But yeah, going off topic here. The number 10. So, would you say if the Maradona were the jersey, would you say he's a 10?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Like
the way he played the
it was-
game. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, like I believe South American football, like players like that, they are the clearest representation of what you think of the position.
So what's the difference between? Let me put this out to the table.
Sure.
Just to answer your first question before you go on to another one, I disagree. I don't think Maradona was a classic 10.
Oh, okay.
I think Maradona was everything. I think Maradona was a bit more than that.
Was he a goalkeeper?
Fuck it. Hey, the way he played, that guy, the tenacity he had, and the hunger he had for the game, and the desire to win, he could have been anything.
What about his defensive work? Do you reckon was there times where he tracked back, or he didn't?
Nah, that's not what you didn't expect that.
No, they expect that from him. Yeah,
Anything,
it's a different
anything
era.
moving forward.
Yeah,
So what's the difference between a 10, an attacking mid, a second striker? What do you guys think?
The difference between those positions is where they begin and end on the field. A second striker and what their roles and responsibilities are for. A 10, in terms of the classic 10, an enganche is going to stay mostly in the middle of the field, in the final third, and wait for the ball to come to him before he does anything else. He's going to string the ball along and basically be the maestro for the team.
An
Second
enganche,
striker.
enganche in Spanish is like a hook. So it means
Yep.
you feel
A
like
what?
like
A
a hook.
hooker.
I don't care about your Friday nights. Literally hooking the midfield and the attack and the strikers. It's,
Yeah.
it's that connection between
That link.
the midfield and the attack. Yeah.
They sit in that half space there between midfield and striker position. Second striker plays a little bit different, whereas they bounce off the main striker in a two striker formation. You can have a 10.
they spend more time up front, forward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So in a 4-3-1-2 formation, for example.
4-3-1-2. That, I mean,
Classic formation. I love that. I
yeah, me
fucking
too.
love that.
It's one of my favorite
That number 10
formations.
behind two strikers. That's
Yeah.
a classic number 10.
and the
It
three
is.
midfield behind.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny, because you would know more. It's the first and last time I will ever say that. But
I've got to record it here.
shit, I forgot about the microphone. But that formation is a very South American formation. Is it
in the
Argentinian?
past, yes.
Yeah, in the past, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they were all built around that enganche. They were all built around that number 10 player, right? And so that's why I believe that Maradona was that complete definition of that, because while he could score, and he definitely did, as I mean, he's
Yeah.
when you talk about the elite players, he also was like his role was to be that playmaker. You know, I remember a documentary once where Maradona said that, like, while he loved obviously playing where he played, he always fancied himself as a libero growing up, and then of course because of his skill, he had to move forward into the play. But he loved creating and orchestrating the moves.
To me, and this is just me, when I think of a 10, when I think of a classic 10, and probably the last ever 10 to play the game properly, I think of Riquelme.
Yeah,
So he's a person that, love him or hate him, like his vision of the game, his defensive work didn't exist, but you give him the ball and something will happen. He's that feeding the strikers. He's the leader on the field. What do you guys think?
He's one of those players I think that needs to have the team work around him, not the other way around. And
That's exactly right. That's why he didn't work in Barcelona.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Where he he made his breakthrough at Boca Juniors, and I still remember 20 years ago that game in the Toto Cup final against Real, where first time I ever heard of the guy, and he just actually ripped the whole team apart. He had such a great game, and they won that game as well.
Yeah.
And he went to Barcelona, didn't quite work out. Like I said, the amount of great players had around him, and then he made the move to Villarreal, which he showed his glimpses of what he's capable of.
But you're spot on. I mean, you have to build your team around a guy like that.
Yeah.
It's not someone that fits into the system and then everyone works.
No, the system fits around him.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with Riquelme. I didn't watch much of him in South America. When he moved to Europe is when I started watching him properly, and predominantly at Villarreal.
Yeah.
I used to watch a lot when they played Champions League, and he was always dangerous because you knew he could just pull something out of nothing.
Yeah.
I feel like he never reached his full potential,
No.
which was disappointing
Yeah.
for the vision that he had and the quality that he had. I just feel like he never reached it. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how Argentinians perceive him because they seem to have a fucking opinion on every player that comes out of their country. And they fucking hound the shit out of him. But I don't know what Argentinians think about Riquelme. Has you know how it is like with the Messi situation and that. How did you guys view Riquelme?
As a gun player, like even like,
No, I mean like, but did you guys think he
Did you have
did
the
everything he
pressure?
can do, or no?
Did he have the
wasn't
pressure
enough?
on him the way, say,
But
Messi?
the thing is, he was so big in Argentina. He went back to Boca and won trophies. He was so big in the domestic league.
Yeah, but Boca,
that-
who's gonna like? If it's not Boca or River Plate, who's it gonna be?
No, I
Velez?
get what you're saying. Hey, watch out. I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is like that's why he's so big in Argentina, because he spends so much time in the domestic league.
Was that also a product because maybe he was a bit comfortable there and he thought, you know what, I can do it here.
Part of it is that. Part of it is he was such a fanatic of Boca. He's
That's true.
He's in the club now in a political role. So that's why he's very Argentinian in that sense. But I agree. He could have done better in Europe. He could have made it to the bigger teams. He could have done, but he didn't reach his full potential.
Even for the national team, he didn't quite live
he
up
quit
to
2 or 3 times the national team.
Yeah.
Look, when it
Most of
comes
your
to
players do that anyway. They have
when it
dummy
comes to
splits.
players like that though, like how can you not love a player like that? Yeah, he didn't make his fullest potential, but players like that, I always find there's such an interesting story about players like that who had all the talent in the world but just couldn't quite make it. But you saw glimpses of real genius.
Oh, there's plenty of them. There's plenty.
Yeah,
Speaking
absolutely.
of, tell me if this is a 10 for you guys. I know we all love him, Ronaldinho.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna go last on this one.
He's gonna go last.
So is it?
He made, yeah, for me, he is. The way he plays the game, he made football fun to watch, man.
I mean,
Even
look,
though he played for Barcelona, forget about that. Like, you know,
no,
he was
we
a-
can never forget about that, Darcy. But I think,
He
I think
was
what you've got to
crazy.
keep in mind is Ronaldinho as a 10 had all the trademarks of that talisman of what Italians call the fantasista. You know, the fantasy player that makes so much happen in the game, right?
Multilingual, this guy.
Yeah, maybe you know me. But you got to admit he was a left winger. No, he did a lot of damage on the left side, and he had played as a central player multiple times in his career. I think he played a little in PSG like that. He played a little like that in AC Milan. But the truth of the matter is that he did most of his damage out wide, taking players one-on-one.
coming in. You mean from the left
Coming in
and-
from the left.
Yeah, but a 10 can do that as well.
They might have the traits to do it, and I mean, definitely, like he was a heroic figure. I would say number 10 on his jersey.
I just feel that way. The way he had those traits as a 10. Like, look at
He
him,
did
like,
have
the
the
way
traits.
the players look to give him the ball, and he just works his magic.
I agree with Darcy.
Look, what I'll say about this, he wasn't a traditional number 10, as in he played in that centralised role where the ball came to him and then he distributed. Ronaldinho wanted to make things happen, and
Yeah.
he did. And he
Yeah.
always made something happen, regardless. Whether they won the game, lost the game, whatever it was, he always had some involvement. He did something. He drew attention. He went out wide. He was central. He was making runs through on goal. So he played everywhere. He had that license to explore. And really, when you have a player like that, you're not going to confine them to
No,
a
and nor
specified
should you.
role
No,
and
of
say
course
no.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does he have the traits of a traditional 10, which is a playmaker? Yeah, he's provided lobs and flicks over to players through to finish
I'm off
goals.
defenses.
Yeah,
Nothing out of
amazing.
something out of nothing.
Unbelievable, especially at Barcelona. I mean, one of the only players to ever get applauded at the Camp Nou. At the Bernabeu.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, I forget that.
he was Was he a traditional? Like, do you confine him to that one role? I think it'd be unfair to him, but I think he comprises more than one role, and a number 10 is one of them.
Yeah, that free role to me is the number 10 as well.
Yeah, but I mean,
So for
if
example-
you're comparing him to Riquelme, though, Riquelme doesn't do that kind of work.
So, for example, Totti, was he a 10 or was he a second striker?
I'd say second striker.
He's closer to a second striker, but
Yeah.
he's a mixture of both.
Yeah, I agree. Like
He
I
could
think
create.
he was a trequartista. He's a second striker that goes
Back
into
to it.
the.
He's back to he's back to Italian.
I was waiting for
Fucking
the-
hell.
He's gonna
Fucking
come to
Italians
Japanese now.
Italian.
Language.
I was waiting for that reaction.
We got a language class going on.
Italians have every have a name for every position, mate. But like the thing is, yeah, Totti played most of his time in the box, picking up balls and scoring more than he was really creating for the team. He could create. He obviously had the talent.
He had the 10 on the back of his...
He had the
Yeah.
10 on the back.
Yeah, I
and he
think
was
he-
certainly a
He was a
talisman.
captain, he was a
Yeah.
leader.
He certainly was a talisman
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Rome, for God's sake. But
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Look, I think there's certain prerequisites to be a number 10, which is be a talisman, be a leader, be a creator, be a goal scorer. Like, not a prolific goal scorer as a
Skillful.
number 9, but that, as a
Yeah,
number
yeah,
10.
yeah.
So a lot of the players that we're going to go through would tick maybe 4 out of the 5. So then you have to say, look, they are kind of a 10, but they're also, like you said, Totti, a second striker sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
He played both those roles. So there's not really a pure 10 here. Riquelme, as you said, is probably the closest.
Yeah.
Well, the next person, for example, and Fatty, you can go last with this one.
Oh, here we go.
To me, he's not a 10. To others, he may be. Was he a talent? Yes. Was he good? Of course. Bergkamp.
So, like, I always looked at Bergkamp more as a second striker,
Yeah.
more as a bit of a capable of maybe playing a bit of a false 9 kind of position. He probably played that number 10 role a couple of times in his career and maybe for stretches of it. But I mean, I don't know, that I always looked at him as a guy that was a bit of both, setting up on Reed, setting up players, whatever.
Yeah,
what would you say?
I'd go on the lines of a second striker. He showed many times the traits of a number 10, particularly the skill he had and technique was unbelievable, especially that goal against Newcastle. The flick around the defender, that magic he worked was unbelievable. But yeah, I'd say he's more like the way he played the game was more of a second striker, but he did produce moments of.
That's all the time we have for Bergkamp.
So close, Johnny. Right, second striker, Johnny, and then move on.
Okay, Fatty, I guess you can say a couple of things.
I agree. Early on in his career, he was a second striker. His Inter Milan days, his Ajax days, he was a lot younger, he was a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So that was expected of him. But even when he came to Arsenal, this is where Arsene Wenger transformed him, as he transformed a lot of players. He transformed him more. And as he progressed in his career, the number 10 role doesn't require the same running on through balls that a number 9 does. And Bergkamp became that number 10 later on in his career. He didn't finish as a number 9 or as a second striker. He started off as a second striker, but he transformed. So I would say the last maybe 5-6 years of his career, he was purely a playmaker. Yeah, he did score some goals, but they were few and far between. If you look at his goal scoring record for Arsenal, while it was good, it wasn't fantastic. It wasn't amazing. You don't look at it and think, what an amazing striker, one of the best strikers we had. No, you don't look at it. You say one of the best, playmakers we had at this club. So obviously I'm a little biased, but I feel like he transitioned into that number 10 later on in his career.
Look, I think the way that football has evolved also made the number 10, the classic 10, extinct.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are defending,
Yeah,
with,
stats though.
but if you're defending with every single player, you're disadvantaged, and that's what Van Gaal said to Riquelme.
Yeah.
You're disadvantaged already when you don't have the ball because the other team has one more player than you.
Yeah.
All right. So, for example, if you go back to the 4-3-1-2 formation, there's no reason why someone like Messi can play behind 2 strikers. But then, if you do that, you lose a lot of defensive power.
I mean, you do in theory, right? But this is the thing about football is we all think that this is the way we play football, and then a few years later, someone else rewrites the rule book. I mean, a number of years where crossing was the predominant thing to do in football, and then analysts and statisticians came in and said, no, crossing is inefficient. Fast forward to Zinedine Zidane crossing the ball in, because even though we didn't get a goal every time, it was a great way to recycle possession. With the attacking midfield spot, the number 10 spot, who's to say you don't have a person like a Luka Modric that has the fitness and energy to track back, but then come forward? Like, is it that it's extinct, or does it just need to evolve and need managers willing to try?
I think football's become too technical and too analytical nowadays for that number 10 role to ever return, and it's, the way we knew it in the late 90s. I don't think it'll ever return like that, because football's too statistical now. Everything's about statistics. Everything's monitored.
That's true.
Every
Efficiency.
step you've taken, everything. It's about efficiency. You got to be efficient.
That's right.
And it's all about numbers now.
And yeah, it's about speed as well. Like the teams that play these days, it's all counter attack, quick passing, quick movements, quick goals.
Yeah, do you even have the time on the ball?
Yeah.
For a number 10 to just roam around the way Zizou would do?
When you think of 10s and you think of 90s, let me throw two names at you. Both South Americans. Rivaldo, 10?
Has to be. He's one of those that transitions between a 10 and a second striker.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Same thing.
Yeah. And I think there was a push in his career where he played left wing as well. But it's like you said,
Later
like,
on, he did play there, yeah.
More
Yeah.
of a winger, but more of a cutting inside.
yeah, like an inside forward kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I think like you're right. He's a number 10.
Because when you look at Brazil, and it was Rivaldo Ronaldo, he wasn't the 9.
That's right.
No.
He was a second striker, or he played that role, or they had a bit more freedom.
Well,
in
02 World
midfield.
Cup is Rivaldo and Ronaldinho playing together.
Yeah, and Ronaldo as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the triple R.
Yeah. So who's better, Rivaldo or Ronaldinho?
Ronaldinho, without question.
Okay. The other number 10 that I wanted to bring up, Valderrama. He's a classic 10, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was in that era, though.
Yeah.
That's why. He was in that era.
Yeah, he was
Didn't
played that way.
Didn't push forward much. Yeah.
If Valderrama played in today's day and age, he'll be more a number 8.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Fair enough.
Who's better, Valderrama or Haji?
Oh,
No, Valderrama.
nah, Haji.
Haji for me.
Haji was a real genius of the game, man.
Haji, yeah, they call him the Romanian Maradona. They called him. He was
Look, I have a soft spot for Haji. I loved him.
that goal
But
in the World
I
Cup,
have a soft spot
94
for
World
Valderrama
Cup.
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. He's
Was Haji a 10?
yeah.
No, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was good on the.
No.
Yeah, man.
Haji lived on the wing most of the time.
He played on the wing. It's true. He played for patches of his career, but that's the same as we're talking about Rivaldo, though.
I don't know. I remember Haji, 94 World Cup, always on the wing.
So this is the thing. Like we all have different.
He had traits of a 10.
But we all have different criteria. Like
Yeah.
for example, Rivaldo is a 10, and because he has the traits. Ronaldinho is a 10 because they have traits that, like we're talking about, leadership, talismanic figure, right? But then how strict are we getting with where they played on the field?
Look,
Is there-
I'm not saying he didn't have traits. He did have traits of a 10. How many? I don't know.
Haji had a fair bit, man. I think like the way he's control the ball, the way he's playmaking, the way it's set up.
And
There's that too. Yeah.
And he was a fantastic playmaker. Like he had, he could pick out many range of passes.
Haji reminds me a lot of Figo.
Really?
Out wide, can play in the middle.
Yeah.
Figo didn't have a
Playmaker.
shot like that though. Figo didn't have a Haji shot at all.
Figo was more like
got a few in his
Figo was more of a
Yeah, but-
winger though, down the line.
Yeah, but like there were patches where he played behind a striker as well. But yeah, like predominantly he was a winger. I believe Haji played more as a number 10 more in his career
Yeah.
in the central part of the field.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
Haji or Figo?
oh look, my head would say Haji, but my heart says Figo.
That's because you're a Real Madrid
Yeah,
fan.
I'm
proud
gonna
of
say
it.
that. Yeah,
And
Figo.
took him
Figo just
from
because of
Barcelona.
that. But
Speaking, how many players moved from Barcelona to Real Madrid or vice versa?
Honestly,
more than you fucking
heap.
care to admit. A lot.
a fair bit.
Oh yeah, like a fair bit.
Like
But it's-
you'd think, it's so rare that it doesn't happen because it's so anyway, off topic. But
no, fair enough.
No,
And
it happened more in the 90s, 80s, and not so much in the 2000s.
Luis
2000,
Enrique.
you lose Figo.
Luis
Yeah,
Enrique
Michael
did it.
Laudrup played for both.
yeah, that's right. Laudrup did it as well. That was a
And
big
one
contract.
less known
Yeah,
name,
but Laudrup,
Saviola. We got him for free, actually.
don't jab him. Yeah,
I
but
had to keep us Saviola.
he's your product. Laudrup, the rumor was that he went because he had a falling out with Cruyff, which apparently he reckons wasn't the case, but who knows?
I could see that. Everyone had a falling out with Cruyff.
Who knows? Messi might come along next year. On a free next year. Huh? What a steal.
Speaking of Spanish football, in the early 2000s, And number 10 that comes to mind is Pablo Aimar.
I forgot about him actually.
Yeah,
You know what? I loved Pablo Aimar.
Because he's your height.
Hey, Pablo Aimar at Valencia. When they had that success period, 2 successive Champions League finals. Unfortunately, lost both, but he was a great player. He was another one that I don't know if he really hit the heights or what was expected of him as a player, especially for you Argentinians. I don't think he really reached that.
it's
A
famous.
lot of Argentinians don't seem to be reaching their full potential. I don't know why.
I think that the next Maradona tag is one reason, the pressure there. But also, Aimar was one of those that a lot of players looked up to him. Even Messi, I think, looked up to him as
He
a...
was Messi's idol.
Yeah. And he just shows the potential he had, the talent he was. And unfortunately, he just didn't reach that heights that we expect of him.
You're speaking of players who may have traits of a 10, but I think they are not 10. So I'm going to throw a few names at you, see if you agree with me.
You think are not 10s?
I don't think the 10.
Okay.
But
I think they're more midfielders,
yeah.
but they might have some traits of a 10. For
Okay.
example, Nedved, Pirlo, Iniesta, Veron.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
All of them,
Yeah, all of them are right.
especially
I agree.
Pirlo.
Yeah,
agree.
Veron as well. Don't really see much of a 10.
Again, another Argentinian who didn't live up to the hype. I don't know how many you're going to bring out.
There's a bit of a theme going on.
Yeah,
here,
they
tonight,
all fucking seem to fall short. Sorry, Johnny. He's breathing heavily. He's
I think
breathing
we spoke
heavily.
about Maradona and Messi, didn't we? I think they've done alright in their careers. Anyways, so yeah, Veron, Iniesta, they're midfielders, they're creators, they provide,
Yeah.
but they're not a 10.
Number 8s.
No.
Yeah, it's, they hung back.
Veron's definitely an 8.
Yeah.
Nedved had a bit more free license up front.
Redford was a hard runner going forward, and he was very good with both feet. I remember Nedved.
Nedved, he played on the left, but he also
Yeah.
he did play for patches of career behind strikers.
was
Especially there was a time for Juve where he played behind. When Ibrahimovic was really young there, and he played with Del Piero. Nedved played behind.
I think Nedved, the importance of him was noticeable in 2003 when he missed the final Champions League final because of suspension.
Yes.
If he played, Juve might have won. That may have had a better chance.
I remember that.
And also the year later, Euro 2004 for Czech Republic in the semis,
Yeah.
he came off injured against Greece, and then they lost that game. And the Czech Republic were red hot, were favourites to win
Yeah,
that.
and fucking Greece, 2004. Here we go.
Let me ask you this one, this is an interesting one. Zidane, is he a 10?
Zidane's got to be
Absolutely.
in the equation. He's got to be
Absolutely,
in
the
the
best,
Yeah.
one of the best players I've seen all time. I've seen in my lifetime.
For me, Zidane is top 3.
Just to when you said top,
But is he a classic 10?
yes,
Yeah,
Top 3 10s. That's what I meant.
Has he
Not top 3 of all time,
Yeah.
because then I have to exclude a lot of players. But
I'll say top 5 all time.
yeah, I'd say definitely.
in
top
mine,
I'd say
sure.
top five,
Yeah.
He has to be. He has to be. I love Zidane.
Yeah.
I love Zidane.
I'd put him over Messi.
He just made things look so simple and skill, technique. He could score every now and then, assisting players. Unbelievable. Just
Yeah, he
Out
was
of this
close.
world.
He was closer to a 10 than just a midfielder.
yeah.
He was one of those, like you said, talisman. He had, his team looked for him. 2006 World Cup. He retired after. Was it 2002?
Euro 2004.
Euro 2004. He retired. They convinced him to come out of retirement. He took France all the way to the final. And probably, I believe, if he didn't get sent off, I think France would have won.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, when you talking about his ability, he was something that, not too many players you could really give to. He was clutch.
He had that X factor.
He
had that
really
X factor.
was.
He made it look so easy, man.
Yeah, he was pure class. My question is, to me, he always started with the ball a little bit deeper on the pitch.
I mean,
True.
look,
Yeah.
Yes.
it's possible, but like when you look at it, the formation on paper, and when you look at what his role was, I still feel like he played the number 10 role. I believe when he first went to Juve in 97 at Darcy,
96.
96.
Yeah.
I believe he played a bit deeper. I know. I always got to check with the fact checker over here. Right? I believe he started off playing deeper for Carlo Ancelotti, I believe, at Darcy.
Lippi. Marcelo Lippi we started
Well, it was
with.
Marcelo Lippi started with.
Yeah.
And Zidane, he didn't play too well because he played too far away from the goal. He needed to play a bit further up. I do think that if you're remembering days of when he played for Real Madrid, his position started to move away. At one
Yes.
point, he even played left mid,
Correct.
and then he just floated inside and did whatever the fuck he wanted.
And then towards
Let
the end of
Roberto Carlos just go.
towards the end of his time at Real, it was more towards behind the strikers.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
started
yeah.
off on the left and then he
So
moved
he
on.
did a lot of different positions, but
Yeah.
he's a 10.
Yeah.
Who would be a 10 today?
Nobody.
No, there's a few.
There's a one, James Rodriguez could be one,
Nah,
but
I see that.
No, he's a 10, man.
No.
Yes, yes.
What would you say he is?
Fucking nothing. He's shit.
Thing is, though, he hasn't played in that role. That's the problem.
He's not. For me, Rodriguez is not a central player.
He's played.
There's too much
centrally
Wait,
for-
wait, stop.
I'll tell you
The
why.
fact that he doesn't get played there doesn't mean he's not a central player.
I don't feel he's a central player because I don't think he works hard enough.
But that's what a 10 is. We're talking the whole time about what a 10 is.
Yeah, but we're saying there's no 10 in current modern football.
If another one,
And they're expected now to work. Like you said, every position you've got to defend, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. I don't think.
and that's probably one of the reasons why he didn't succeed at Real. I'd say because he didn't do that.
And I know where Das is
Bayern.
going with this.
Exactly. Even at Bayern, they said outside of the 10 role, at an 8 or a 6, he can't function well. They said that.
And I know where Das is going next. It would be, what would you say, Isco? I believe Isco's a 10.
Yeah, he is. Except he's shown more these days at Real more as an 8. He hasn't really.
I mean, no,
he's
but
slowed
that's
down. His
like-
game has slowed down a lot. And
Look at Das, but the thing is like, is that him being a 10 being a 10 or an 8, or is that him having to try to evolve to fit into modern day football by playing a bit more industrious and being a bit more defensive and slowing the game down to fit into modern day style of football? If your coach plays a 4-3-3 and you're a 10, you got to have to make some adjustments in your game.
you do.
And that's the thing. Now, the last few years, the 4-3-3's been in fashion, leaving no real room for the 10.
Well, but the only one I can think of that was close to it, or is
Here we go.
Mesut Ozil.
Of course, he was going to go for Ozil.
He-
Darcy loves
He
Ozil.
had those traits, man. He had those. He was at his Real
Do you think
Madrid time. He was
Do you
great.
think he was deployed as a 10 at Arsenal
At the start, he was, and then
under
after-
Wenger? He was.
Yeah, but then towards later on, because I didn't watch as much Arsenal's before, but I don't think so.
Now look,
What do you see? The
when
other Arsenal
when
expert-
Emery and all those others came in, they didn't like his work rate, and this is why he didn't get played.
Yeah,
But Wenger loved him, and that's why Wenger played that. But Wenger came across players like Bergkamp and all those classy players, so he could see that talent.
Yeah.
The Emerys and Arteta and all this, it's all about the modern football. They don't see the natural talent. It's all about how much work you can do, the numbers you can put on the board, and all that sort of stuff.
The GPS tracker, how many kilometres have you
Yeah,
run,
all-
the speed.
But surprisingly, Ozil's not a lazy player. A lot of people think he is, but he racks up kilometres.
well, under Mourinho,
That's very interesting.
He does a lot of work.
Mourinho actually put a whip up his ass and said, "Look, you got to work your butt off and get back into defensive work."
Would you say Messi's a 10? Or can be a 10?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Messi can be just about anything he wants on the field.
So similar to a Maradona, what Fadi was saying about Maradona.
Yeah, go,
Except
go,
not a
Darcy,
captain.
sorry.
That and also the amount of goals, the goals he can score. amount of
He
goals.
doesn't get that one out of the 4 or
Jeez.
5 things that we need to
30 plus
say-
goals.
Yeah,
The
I think
leadership
the
skills.
leadership part of it is
Yeah,
no.
he lacks that.
But in terms of expecting something special to happen, absolutely. You can't. No one better in the world, to be
Yeah, and
honest.
I mean, I think it's funny to compare Maradona and Messi from a style and position point of view. I think Messi's a bit more flexible. I think Messi can play right wing and he can play the attacking midfield, the number 10
False
role.
9.
I think I've always thought his best role was false 9. But yeah, I mean, it's
Just look at the amount of goals.
fucking
he
Messi,
scored.
man.
I love that position. Does it exist anymore? Really, a false 9?
Yeah,
Spain used it. Yeah, it's
I
in
think
the
so.
I love that.
World
Yeah, Spain
Cup.
used it in the World Cup. Yeah, they
And Euro
very
2012,
successfully.
Fabregas.
I think it's a
Very
great.
Was
successful.
it Fabregas? I think it was.
They
yeah.
played Fabregas in it. Even Iniesta did it
Yeah.
for a little bit.
One of my favorite seasons of football watching was just a few years ago with Arrigo Sacchi. Not Arrigo Sacchi.
Japanese now.
Maurizio.
Fucking
no,
Italian, Maurizio Sarri.
No, Maurizio Sarri. Sorry.
Oh, I thought it said
I said Arrigo Sacchi, but I said
Arigato.
Sacchi.
Arigati.
No, I was thinking, what do you call it, Arrigo Sacchi, but I'm talking about Maurizio Sarri with Napoli. They played Mertens in the false 9 role, and that was so much fun to watch. Like that 1-2, watching him float between, and he originally was a left wing. That was like, yeah, he's good. You can see talent, but never could put it together. They put him in that central position, and like away he went.
Spain surprised everyone with that false 9.
Yeah.
No one knew how to play it.
Yeah.
No one knew how to play him.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they were successful.
Well, what a successful hero that was.
until it got figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got James, we got Ozil. What other 10s?
Right now, I think there's one that can be played as a 10 that is a future famous 10, which is Martin Odegaard. He's just been
Come back from his loan.
Yeah.
He's got COVID now, doesn't he?
No, negative. Came back
It
negative.
was a false positive, the first one. Second
Yeah.
one, negative.
Luckily.
So
Fake news.
Fake news, like CNN. Sounds like CNN over here.
Fake news. What about De Bruyne?
Nah, 8. I'm also
Number
He's
8.
a more box to box a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has a little bit more physicality into his game. He can get a little rough at times. I think like if you would ask him 4-2-3-1, play the number 10 role, I think he would be fantastic at it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've seen it yet. But he has all the traits desired if he ever was to play in that
I got a
position.
question that I just thought of. Who would you say played the number 10 role for England during the golden generation?
I don't think anyone.
One player comes
Exactly
to mind,
right.
and then another one after that comes to mind. He didn't realise his full potential. The one that in the 90s, Paul Gascoigne.
Gascoigne.
I mentioned Gascoigne previously to Johnny before we started, but he said no, he's more of a 9, and I think he's right. He is more of a 9. But I'm saying the golden generation, which is the Shearer, Beckham,
Lampard,
the
Gerrard,
Lampard, Gerrard,
Scholes.
Scholes.
Joe Cole.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Cole.
He wasn't a consistent starter.
Yeah, not consistent.
Joe Cole
Like-
could have been Argentinian. That's how inconsistent he was.
He had the traits of a 10. He was very
That's true.
technically gifted.
That's true, Joe Cole.
He was very good.
I
man.
like Joe Cole at Chelsea as well.
Yeah,
He was different to the typical English player.
yeah. He was a very special talent. that
Hazard.
guy. Hazard's more
At
of a
Chelsea, he was a winger, but he still had that X factor about him.
Yeah.
The only thing about Hazard is that whenever he plays centrally, sometimes and starts there, sometimes I feel like he just gets a little lost in the game, and like he doesn't know where to imprint his influence. A lot of creative players now, I feel like the art of playing in that hole behind the striker has been lost. That you need to play wide because you need the space to get your speed up to attack players.
To run at him.
They don't know how to slow the game down the way Azizou used to do it, the way Riquelme used to do it, the way Maradona used to do it. I feel like players now have to be creative by playing on the wings. There's not too many that can really orchestrate from the middle.
That's also
Yeah.
because defending is improved and
That's-
changed and things like
The
that.
pressing and all that.
Definitely.
That's very good.
All right, let me throw 2 Portuguese names at you now: Rui Costa and Deco.
I'd say Deco more of an 8.
He played in Barcelona. He played as an 8. But
Yeah.
I thought he
what about when he
played. I
played?
thought he played a bit further up. I thought he played a bit further up for Portugal. To be honest.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Deco.
Rui Costa is a definite 10.
Yeah,
Rui Costa, I love Rui Costa.
He was class,
Just
yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
That was just a classic number 10.
Yeah.
And even when he played at
AC.
Milan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And Fiorentina days as well. It was good.
yeah, and I mean, like following his career was so interesting because I loved watching him with Fiorentina. Loved him moving to AC Milan, and it was like such a fun thing. And I mean, they had to incorporate a few different positions and formations to include players like him. For example, they played the 4-3-1-2. Rui Costa at number 10, Shevchenko and Inzaghi up front. Then
a team.
eventually, sorry,
What a team.
That was great on Pez, that team.
But
man.
then obviously, like the emergence of Kaká meant that Rui Costa lost his place.
Kaká, we haven't spoken about Kaká yet.
Yeah, I mean, like, and we will in a second. I think Kaká is like, I don't know, regarding tens on what position he played, but when he came in, they had to like organize how are we going to keep both of them in there, and that's when they started developing that Christmas tree formation. That 4-3-2-1 with 2 behind, with Rui Costa and Kaká behind. I think it was behind Inzaghi, when Shevchenko fucked his career, went to Chelsea. So then, I think that you saw that kind of two.
It was a crap move.
That was a flop.
Yeah,
He only went there because of his wife. That's it.
He went there because of Abramovich.
yeah,
Yeah, but no,
went there for the money.
Because
Was Platini a 10?
I'll stay out of this one.
Platini was a 10.
yeah, I'd say so.
He had, I just don't know, exactly, in terms of, comparing other players. What was he like as a creative passer? What was his vision like? I know he had a penchant for scoring goals, and he was a great goal scorer, and he was a great leader, and he definitely was a classy player. But I don't know. I would say he's a 10.
Yeah, he had the traits for a 10. He was, he showed his quality back for the French side in the 80s, winning Euros, and yeah, he was the go-to guy, I think, at the time.
Another one that wore the number 10 jersey but wasn't really a 10, more of a striker, was Forlan for Uruguay.
Yeah, definitely more of a
Striker.
right?
Well, I think
He
so.
was a second striker, I believe. As he got older, he came more into that second striker role. Even at Man United, he wasn't the target man.
No.
He played a second striker.
Kaká, you mentioned him.
Yeah.
He was an attacking mid. He was a creative player. He was a Ballon d'Or winner.
Yeah. Goal scorer. He had that
Yeah.
X factor as well.
Yeah.
You know what? I think though,
07, it was amazing.
it's an interesting thing. I think before we started, I would have said he's a 10.
Kaká.
Like, yeah, as a classic. But I think, like, as we discussed what we feel like fits and what doesn't, I feel like he played more like Totti and played more. He definitely started in that position, but I feel like he found himself in the box a little bit more.
I agree with that.
And he definitely was a player that was better running with the ball than he was without the ball, like moving through
Pass.
channels. No, like when a number 10 like a Zizou didn't have the ball, Zidane, when he didn't have the ball, he would float around through the channels, through between the lines, looking for a position to be next to do the most damage. I feel like Kaká, if he didn't have the ball and if you marked him out of the game, that's the way you would defend him. He was best running with the ball, kind of like a striker, coming like the great Brazilians of that.
Speaking of running with the ball, it reminds me of that goal against Man United in the Champions League.
Yeah.
The defenders fucking falling over each other.
But Ballon d'Or year, man, that was really good.
The other player that wears the number 10 jersey, both club and country, Neymar.
Fuck off.
No. Like Neymar,
No.
he's a wing. He's a left wing.
I know you don't like him, but
No, not even. He's one of those new age.
He can be, but I don't know. Something about him. He's just not quite reached the.
he's not physical
He's
enough.
a bit more forward a lot though.
He's not much of a leader either. What is it?
He reminds me of when we play against those fucking 18-year-old twinkle toes. He's just fancy feet. I don't like him. He's too much of a showboater, but he's not actually that good, or he doesn't do it in the same. Like he tries to be.
There's no end product, mate.
He's trying to do what Ronaldinho did, but he's not. He's nowhere near that.
Yeah.
And it's just like just shut the fuck up.
Fuck, I love listening to it.
I can't handle him. I don't like
Anyone
him.
else before I ask you one final question?
One name comes to mind. Didn't really wear number 10, but played like it and had the potential to become better. Guti.
Yeah.
He could pick out a
Real
pass
Madrid.
out of nowhere.
Any non-Real Madrid players that you want to speak about?
You mentioned he was up there. He was up there. Anyone else got anyone?
This is a quick episode. If you're telling me we're going to finish, fuck.
No, I've got a tough question to finish off with.
Oh.
Guti comes up to mind. If he put his head onto it, he could have achieved more. Fortunately, he didn't. He had the party life over the football life.
No, I mean, like I think we've covered all of the ones that you consider like the most famous players with the number on their back. I mean, we didn't really talk much about Pelé. We kind of drifted over here.
To me, Pelé's a striker.
Yeah.
Well, Fatty, what do you reckon? Because in the last podcast about numbers, me and Darcy said he wasn't a striker. Johnny said that was a striker. What do you reckon?
I think he was a striker because if you look at the years he played with Brazil and when they won the World Cups, he was their go-to for goals. He wasn't creating for anyone. Like, I'm not saying he never created, but he wasn't create something and we have strikers that are making those runs that are going to score off his skill. He was the man that needed to score. So
And
I think he was close to
They remember him by the amount of goals he scored.
Yeah, let's
right.
someone who claims to have scored over 1,000 goals. He has to be a striker.
What about from an Australian football perspective, who was close to number 10?
That's a good question.
Kill?
But
It's
got to be Harry Kill.
Yeah.
There's nobody else. Like Viduka was your target man, back to goal, hold up the ball until players came in and they could feed
he was a
him.
classic 9.
Yeah.
And they could play off him.
Cahill was a good second striker
Cahill was definitely a second striker.
Ned Zelic, maybe.
before my time.
I remember him. He was up
I
and
think
coming.
Zelic was a bit deeper.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe.
probably. Yeah,
A little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Kuhl had that X factor about him. Again, he liked to play out on the wing and come back in.
Look, Q wore the number 10. He was your go-to. He was your marketing tool.
He ticks a
was
few of those
your-
boxes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So Q was the number 10. Played
Yeah.
for Liverpool, played for Leeds.
I love them at Leeds.
In my opinion, best player to come out of Australia.
We've produced, do you reckon? Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's got to be followed closely by Viduka.
It's a good call.
Cahill can fuck off to third.
We got Schwarzer as well. I wouldn't put anything past Schwarzer.
We're talking about everything now. Short cycle.
He's a player, isn't he?
Cahill's fourth then.
All right. This is a tough one, so I want to go first to give you guys time to think.
Here we go.
Top 3 number 10s for you. So your rating of from third to first. I'm putting you on the spot here. Akram's getting nervous. He's moving around. You guys can't see this, but there's so much nervousness going around the table. I'll go first here. Look, and I said top 3. I'm going to go with top 4 for myself.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
He's exempt. It's his podcast. Fuck.
So for number 4, I'm only going to put Riquelme because he was the last one to play in that classic role. So I believe that after him, the role was extinct. He was, as much as I didn't like playing against him, and as much as I don't like him, a lot of stuff about him, you can't deny the talent that he was, his vision on the pitch, the stuff he did with the ball, the games he won for Boca. He was pure class. Number 4. Number 3 for me is Ronaldinho.
Mm-hmm.
Magic. Like, he's one of the people, like I said before, you can just go on YouTube and watch the highlights over and over again. Different. Number 2, Zidane. I said it before, someone that I tried to imitate as a youngster.
You were number 10 in your playing days, I remember.
I had number 10 jersey. Playing number 10 is a different thing.
Yeah.
And number 1, the greatest of all time, Diego. You guys, I don't know who wants to go.
Well, I'll go next. Fair enough, Johnny.
It's a good list, actually.
Number 3 for me is someone that we mentioned we haven't spoken enough about, Roberto Baggio. For me, Baggio was one of those few players that I think of, and I think of the word genius. I think it was a guy who was one of the most creative players we've ever seen, and his career definitely had some inconsistencies, and there were times where he didn't show up. But at the same time, that's part of his mystique as a player. The incredible highs and sometimes the incredible lows. So for me, I think of him. Second would be Zidane, my favorite player of all time. And first, I would have to say Maradona as well.
I'm going to go same with the host here, Johnny. I'd say Ronaldinho number 3, number 2 Zidane, and number 1 Diego Maradona. Even though I saw Zidane play in my time, Maradona I think number 1. Just what he's achieved in football and the player he was, can't go past that.
I don't think anyone can dispute Maradona. We can't dispute Maradona. The rest, you can dispute the order, but Maradona's going to be first for me. The others, I'm going to have to pick 3. Zidane, Bergkamp, and Ronaldinho. For me, those are the 4 that I enjoyed watching. I watched. Maradona I didn't watch a lot of.
Is Zidane second?
I caught the end of him. Zidane has to be second.
Yeah.
Zidane has to be second. Very closely followed by Ronaldinho. Purely because Zidane was more of that classic role. Ronaldinho had a bit more freedom. And I'm biased, so Bergkamp makes the 4 for me.
So we've all agreed Maradona number 1, Zidane number 2, Ronaldinho number 3.
I mean, I don't, but that's okay. We can assume we.
But
do.
you're like CNN. You're fake news.
Fake news.
Shut up.
I think that's fair.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
So after almost an hour of discussion, we've come up with a great top 3. And look, and I don't consider Messi right now with the current formation, current systems to be a 10. Otherwise, obviously, Messi would be in there. But I don't think he comes into the argument that we're talking about here of the classic 10.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Same.
I agree with that.
Any last words?
Yeah, look, I just hope the actual role of the number 10 does not die out completely. I know football's changing. It's a different game. Coaches have different methods. But I just hope that these type of players do not phase out and we get to see more of them in the future.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for today. Episode number 10. We spoke about the classic number 10. Keep hitting like. Keep subscribing. Leave your comments. Give us your feedback. Any topics that you want us to discuss. Or if you want to get involved, let us know. footballretro.com. Thank you. See you later.